All right, I'm gonna talk about how I lost $100,000 selling digital products. So back in 2009, I decided to undertake my first product launch. All right, and in this video, I'm gonna break down how I lost $100,000 with one major oversight during that problem. And this reminds me of a story when I was growing up that I wanna share with you real quick. So my grandma, back in the day, she used to like to bet on horses. So she would go to the horse track. I'm from Toledo, Ohio. We had a horse track there. She would go there with my grandpa. She'd bet on the horses. She'd show up with $100 and she would leave with 50 bucks, right? But in her eyes, Grandma, how'd you do at the track today? Oh, I made $50. Well, how much did you start with? 100. Grandma, you lost 50. You didn't make 50, right? So that was, when I get into this, you'll understand why that makes sense. But earlier that year, before this, I was at a mastermind before I decided to do this product launch. I was at a mastermind event and a company broke down a genius marketing campaign that was done in a different industry. And it was the first time done in the IM space that I know of that they did it, right? So they had these 3 levels of pricing. Now I talked about tiered pricing in a previous video, but this was 3 levels of pricing done a very unique way. It was all a little bit higher ticket, right? So, or mid ticket, I guess you'd call it, whatever, depends what your barometer is. But it was one payment of $997, 2 payments of $997, or 3 payments of $997. You had these 3 different levels that you could sign up for the program, and each level came with a little bit more. Now, the lesson here is that $997 was actually, the 2 payments of $997 was really a decoy, right? So most people were either taking the 1 pay or the 3 pays. There's such a huge gap between those, right? So I took that pricing model and I used it in my industry at the time. And it had never been seen before in our industry. So it was what we call a pattern interrupt. When you do something different that people aren't used to, it interrupts the pattern and makes them pay attention a little bit more. And so that's what we did. So we created this pattern interrupt because they're able to, they're used to the same pitch and the same pricing models, and with us doing a different pricing model and a different pitch, the way that we did it, it made them pay attention just a little bit more. So here's the thing, I got to work. I started building it out. Wrote the copy, I designed the funnel, I recruited affiliates, and I got ready to hit the phones. Here's the thing is this is how I got to where I'm at today, is because I would just jump in and execute. I learned how to build pages. I learned how to design and lay out funnels. I learned all this stuff and then I executed on it. And so a lot of these stories and campaigns that I share with you are from direct experience of me executing and doing, not just from some story I heard or thing that I read about, right? It's from direct implementation on my side. So at the time of this launch, I had a partner. I did all the marketing, all the trainings, brought the audience, everything, right? I had it, and he built all the trainings out and was going to do the coaching side of it. So I invested the money, we both invested time to get this thing off the ground. Well, the launch went great. It was the first launch. I was super excited about it. We sold about $200,000 in trainings in about 10 days. This was my first bigger product launch. I was excited about that number. Right? It was cool to see that come in, and it was all digital, all online orders. I wasn't making phone calls and everything else. But what we did is from there though, as launches are crazy busy. If you've ever done a launch, they're super busy. There's a lot of moving pieces, tons of stuff going on, constant communication. And so what happened is the dust settled, and it was time to pay our affiliates. Right? So when you do a product launch, we had affiliates promote. So I basically rallied all these people in the industry to promote us. They promoted it. We sold about $200,000. Well, because we had affiliates, a big portion of that had to go to those affiliates. We had to pay them, right? We were paying them 50% of the sale. Now I had an accountant at that time, and he sent out the first round of payments. No big deal. We owed him money, send the payments out. First round of payments because we had payment plans, right? Or the funnel, there was a payment plan option, a couple different, 1 pay, 2 pay, 3 pay, right? So we knew we had a couple more potential payments to affiliates going down the road. So every 30 days, 60 days, right? We had to pay them out. Now, my partner and I moved to focus on delivering the training and get results, right? These people invested in us, and we wanted to make sure they got what they invested in, they got the results. So as we did this, the second round, as we were focused on the training and everything else, the second round of payments went out to our affiliates. The accountant handled it. Here's the issue. Is the accountant didn't deduct the refunds, the chargebacks, or the initial payment that he sent. So he paid our affiliates month 1, then he paid our affiliates month 1 and month 2 on all the sales, not net sales. So basically, if we owed our affiliates $10,000, he paid them $5,000, then he paid them $10,000, right? So with that, as you can imagine, we're losing money on those clients. Now, I went back and forth when I discovered this. I was a little frustrated because it came time for my partner and I to split the profits, and we discovered, wait a minute, where'd all the profits go? Where's this money at? So he was invested with time and expectations to earn from the profits. But when I told him we lost money, he didn't really want to split the loss with me, and so he bounced. Now, this left me with out of a loss of money, and now I got to put in more time, right? Because he was the main trainer and everything else. So a couple options. I could ask people to send back the money, those affiliates to send back the money, or take the hit. Those were kind of my 2 options when we discovered this, on top of trying to deliver. So no matter what, I had to continue training clients to get results. Now, here was the big lesson I took from that, is one is I just took the hit, and then I also focused on getting results. The cool part was we developed some success stories. I learned a lot of valuable lessons that served me well in my career, and I still own the list of leads and buyers. Now that's a huge one. Let me repeat that. I want to gloss over that. I still own the list of leads and the buyers, right? So there's value in the list. You hear it all the time, value in the list. Now, owning that audience proved to make up for that $100,000 loss tenfold within the next 12 months, right? So it was not, at the time, it felt catastrophic for what we were doing, but when I look back at it in hindsight, it actually was really just kind of a loss leader to the future growth of our company. I guess you gotta have a positive outlook when you're losing money like that. But we ended up going on and making it back and some. So it ended up not being a big deal, but at the time very stressful. And that's how I lost $100,000 on a campaign. You know, in the marketing angle, it's like, hey, here's how we did $200,000 in 10 days. But on the back end, and what I wanna stress with you is, you see these things in marketing, they're leveraged to you know, people put the numbers out there, you see them, but you only see what's on the front. You see the core piece of what's happening on the front of the business, what you're allowed to see. It's that whole Instagram reel, right? And then you don't ever see the chaos or the different things going on behind the scenes. So never try to go hack somebody's business or funnel hack their business. And the issue being is you don't know how they operate on the back to actually make their business profitable. They might be losing, you know, $100 for every free book they give away. You don't know that. You just assume they're making money, but maybe 90 days, 120 days, 180 days, that $100 is coming back to them in the chunk of $200, right? So there's things, understanding those numbers and whatnot going forward is super important. But moral of the story here, making money is actually easy. That's the easy thing if you're an entrepreneur. The really, really hard part about it is keeping it. So, and one thing that I learned along the years, I've had to learn how to keep money over the years as an entrepreneur, but one thing that I've learned also that's helped me do that and keep that forefront of my mind is make sure that I don't work for the same dollar twice. So not only did I work for the same dollar twice, I worked for the same dollar, then I worked to make up the lost dollars, right? I had to work more on that second round for that one, but you know, don't work for the same dollar twice is a huge valuable lesson I think you should take home from this as well. But with that said, thank you for watching this video to the end. If you gained value from this, do me a favor, like the video, drop a comment below on maybe one of your hard lessons learned, and then share this video with some entrepreneurs or some marketers that can gain value from it, because that's how we get our message out, and that's how we're gonna impact and help entrepreneurs build bigger, better businesses while keeping the amount of time that they want to do the things they love. Thank you.